St. John's wort does the opposite here. It speeds up cytochrome P450. And therefore, it has a lot of drug interactions. For example, the protease inhibitor AZT that's given for some people have HIV, it'll speed up the process, so it pulls it out of the system way faster than it should, so it doesn't have enough time to be in the body to be an antiviral, as it were. So it has a negative drug interaction. So there's a warning: if you're taking AZT, don't take St. John's wort. From a herbalist point of view, we'd say take more St. John's wort, don't take the AZT, because it's not doing the right thing anyway. But that's our philosophical point of view compared to their philosophical point of view. The idea here is, though, that St. John's wort, from its point of view, is just trying to get what it considers a toxin out of the body faster. This is one of the things that was theorized about birth control pills itself. When they first started realizing it speeds up P450 quite a bit, there was a warning put out about birth control pills. But so far, nobody's ever seen an instance where there's been a drug interaction with birth control pills to make a person pregnant faster, or make a person pregnant while they're on birth control pills, because the cytochrome P450 is faster. And I definitely have, over the years, had more patients coming in doing both birth control pills and St. John's wort than I probably have birth control pills and antibiotics. And we see that on a relatively regular basis. Not weekly, but I bet you I see maybe a case a year at least of someone getting pregnant while they're on birth control pills from doing antibiotics, which is a fairly high percentage. But I've never seen anything with the St. John's wort. So because it works with the various enzyme systems doesn't mean it's going to work with all enzyme systems. As I said, there's over 25 different enzymes that work in that metabolic function. So it's not just a simple open the gate, close the gate type enzyme system, but you kind of got the general idea. As you've noticed, and what Patrick was talking about here momentarily, that I have a diagram here that kind of goes through the phase 1 to phase 2. It talks a little bit about the various vitamins and minerals and various things that we need to be able to work on the different metabolic functions. So you can see this is an area where you need to have a large array of food / nutrients to be able to function properly, especially the free radicals, or the antioxidants for the free radicals. And you can see almost a multiple vitamin would really work well in this. So these are all things you'd have to take into consideration when you're doing liver function. You don't necessarily have to take a single one of each vitamins. You'd want to have foods that are rich in these things. And so this is a very good excuse for eating the rainbow diet, meaning the more the color you'd have if carotenoids and bioflavonoids, the better that's going to function around this area, because they work really good as antioxidants, plus they provide an awful lot of the other nutrients. If these things are missing in the diet for whatever reason, then we'd have to supplement either in a liquid form or a tablet form or whatever the case may be. Phase 2, as I've already pointed out, is the more complex phase. It literally takes the partially broke down chemicals from phase 1, sometimes even more reactive or more carcinogenic or more problematic for our body than it was in its original form, and it usually conjugates them and works on that to be able to make it demetabolized, suitable enough to be urinated out or go out through the bile or whatever the case may be. If phase 2 is slow and or there's too much things coming through phase 1 to phase 2, this bottleneck is being proven to increase the probabilities of cancer, lupus, Parkinson's disease, and a whole bunch of other issues. And so we also have in your notes a diagram of the various functions of this and how it'll work on different metabolisms. As I've already pointed out, there's different ways to assess how well this is working, even from a lay herbalist point of view or a professional clinical herbalist point of view. The easiest one of phase 1 is caffeine. Certainly, the technical way of doing it, you take a pre-measured amount of caffeine, meaning they don't have colas, they don't have coffee, they don't have teas and things like this. You actually give them a pre-measured, usually in the form of a tablet. And then you can test it in the saliva 8 hours later, and that's a little bit more accurate than the collecting in the urine, and we can see how that process is. But from a very simplistic point of view, you don't have to go through that detailed chemical analysis. You can just see if it comes out in the urine over a period of time, but it's not titrated to a real specific. If it is really slowed down, if we have a low caffeine clearance, that means something's wrong with some of the enzyme systems at P450, and some of the things that might be causing it is drug interactions that the person's got in their body, or maybe a deficiency of copper, magnesium, zinc, or vitamin C. Grapefruit, we've already pointed out, could have a little bit of a function here, meaning it slows down the process. Aging slows down this process. The liver ages over a period of time. It's really good at rejuvenating, but if a person's been around for a long time, their liver's just not going to be as functional. And so it really behooves us to be able to do various things to build up these phases on a regular basis. If a person has too much caffeine come out too fast, that means that there's all kinds of intermediate functions that are going on, and we might have some depletion there. Yes, Zoe?
So what would be the average amount of time that it would take a person to sort through caffeine?
You could usually start smelling it in your urine 4 to 8 hours. So literally, if you drank a bunch of coffee at 8 o'clock in the morning and you go pee around lunchtime to mid-afternoon, that would be the time that you should be able to know it's there. If you're smelling it 2 hours later strongly, or if you're looking at the saliva, it's working too fast. If you don't smell it for 12 to 15 hours later, or there is nothing, that means it's too slow. And these can slough back and forth. There can be various functions at different times. For example, our liver would tend to metabolize things a little bit faster in the spring than it would in the winter. It'll metabolize things a little bit faster when there's high Chinooki winds that we get here in Alberta. So liver health becomes fairly significant in a Chinook zone compared to a non-Chinook zone. When I'm saying this is be equivalent if you're in Finland and they have Funs or the Santa Ana winds, or Weiqi in China, all these various wind systems will overamp how the liver works and some of the moods that go along with it.